and I'm an alcoholic addict.
Hey, Chris.
So if you're looking at me right now, you're like, this dude probably doesn't need this program. So let me tell you why I needed a spiritual awakening, because I am looking nice tonight. I always hear this question of, was I born with this thing, or did I cross a line that I can never go back to? And honestly, I don't really care. But when I look back, I can see certain things, certain behaviors that I had that kind of line up with this thing. One of the biggest things is wherever I was, I didn't want to be there. I thought I wanted to be somewhere else and it would be so much better. Or if I was with that girlfriend, I would want another girlfriend. I need a different girlfriend. She's going to get me on the right path. Or if you go all the way back to childhood, if my dad just got me a bike, if he would have got me a bike instead of some rollerblades, my life would be grand. And I did that throughout my entire life. And I wonder if I'm just a little different. And I think about it when I was a kid. My nickname was Mudball. Because I used to dig in my diaper and paint the walls. And how my brother would introduce me to people is that's my shitty Picasso right there. You know what I'm saying? And that's probably not normal. Not normal. So, it's not funny, guys. But I always dealt with that. I always felt out of place in this world, man. And I would be able to do this thing where I'm able to go hang out with different sets of people. I would be able to go hang out with nerds, or I'd go hang out with the jocks, or I'd go hang out with the cool people. And I would kind of change who I was depending who I was around. And this went all through my life. And I'll shorten this up to get to the solution. When I didn't really do drugs or alcohol when I was a teenager, because I went to this program called DARE. And what they said is, if you experiment with marijuana, it's the gateway drug, and you're going to do other things. You're going to be a cokehead or a crackhead. And I didn't even know what that was at the moment. But I knew when people would say, hey, your mom's a crackhead, they'd be like, oh, get him, dude, he's talking about your mom. So I knew it was something bad. And I knew I didn't want to be that. And the only 2 times that I ever did it, I dwelled about becoming a crackhead. And little did I know, 30 years later, boy. And the other time, I was playing soccer at school, and I ran straight into the goalpost, and I had my nose, it was like kind of to my ear. That's why my nose looks like this today. And so it wasn't good experiences with drugs. I just didn't have good experience. So then I come to, about 21. I start working in this restaurant, man. And again, I feel so out of place, and I think Jeremy says this the best, is I have this problem. I suck in everywhere I go, and once I get this drink or this drug in me, I can just exhale, and I can just be. I don't have to worry about the crooked nose. I am kind of a funny-looking dude, I'm not going to lie. And those insecurities beat me up all the time until I got loaded. Until I found this alcohol. That was my first battle, was this thing. And I never wanted to be home. I always wanted to be out, because we would have stories to talk about for the next 3 days. Oh, did you see what they did? They hooked up. And it was just excitement. And it got me to a feeling where I belonged. I belonged to this group, you know what I'm saying? And we had a good time. They were my friends. They were my ride or dies, and they weren't. But after a long stint with drinking like that, and always drinking like that, I found this other thing, man. I found the love of my life, and it wasn't a girl. I had a really bad day at work. My back was hurting, and my son's mother had just gotten into a car accident. And I was like, my back hurts. And she introduced me to these things called Vicodin. And I was like, boy, let me tell you, I took 2 because I thought it was just going to make me feel better. But it took me into a whole new reality, man. I sat there and I didn't think about anything that was going on. And it was just Do you remember, or I remember, the feeling of that waterfall over your eyes? Then your chest starts, you can't really breathe, but you're breathing, and you get that warm sensation that goes from your head to your toe. And I was introduced to something that changed my life. And I wish I could say that it changed my life for the good. But as you heard, I did have a son's mother at that point. And I had a son. And as this thing progressed, man, it took me from all of that. It took me from my family, from my friends. I started going down another road to where I found this thing called heroin. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. But man, I was like, dude, I wasted so much money. This heroin's so much cheaper and better. And then what's a good concoction with this heroin thing is crack cocaine. Perfect for me. And that led me to places that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. I wouldn't wish on nobody. And what had happened from there, I did that run for about 7 years, and I'd be in and out of these programs. I'd be in and out of these rehabs. And never once did I try the 12 steps. Never once did I really try to get a sponsor. Never once. I went to meetings, and they didn't work for the 30 days that I was there, so I'd always go back. I'd always do the same thing. And then they were like, you need to get on Suboxone. So I went on Suboxone for a long time, and that kept the needle out of my arm. Fast forward to, last year, that same feeling of, I don't want to be here. My life would be so much better if I was somewhere else. Put an idea in my head to move to Florida. I was like, Baltimore sucks. It was probably 20 degrees at that time. It was 80 here. I was like, dude, if I just get to Florida, I'm going to be the man. And little did I know that it wouldn't change. It didn't change anything. I still had that incomplete feeling. And I was sitting there, and man, I remember the last day very vividly. And I can remember being there with a bottle of vodka in one hand and my fist shaking at God in the other hand. God, why'd you do this to me? God, you gave me the worst hand. Why don't you come down here and fight me? That was, come on, God. And it was kind of ridiculous to say. But what had happened next is I said these words that changed my life, man. I said, God, you can either fix me or kill me. And what happened there was something that I can only describe as a miracle, because God, my higher power came and met me in the gutter. I wasn't out doing charity work. I wasn't perfect. I wasn't in church. I was in the gutter when God came and met me. And I went to this place called Morton Plant Hospital, and I went in there. I actually sat outside for like 3 hours with this big-ass duffel bag that I carried 3 miles. It was like a 60-pound bag, dude. I was sweating and it was awful. But I remember when I got into that room, I kept saying, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And the nurse told me, she said, you're right where you're supposed to be. We're going to take care of you. And at that point, I had been removed from people for so long. I don't remember hearing nice words. That's probably the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me. She probably doesn't remember those words. I remember them to this day. And they ended up putting me in a psychiatric unit. And there the doctor said, do you want to do this your way or my way? I was like, my way probably sucks. Let's try yours. She said, we're going to get you into a rehab, man. And she did. And I went to Axe. And I remember I was beating their door down to get there. I was beating the door down to get there. And when I got there, there was rules I had to follow. I had to do this. I had to do that. Didn't sound like a good idea to me. And there was somebody in this room. I didn't follow a lot of the rules. And I got caught. And they were about to put me out. And I almost fought the director in the middle of a dorm because you can't yell at me in front of a bunch of people. That makes me feel some type of way. And I can't let you make me look like a pussy in front of a bunch of people. I just can't. I can't let that go. And thank God they didn't do it, man. Thank God they didn't. And I started following some of the rules, man, and just going day to day, trying to figure out what my next plan is. And my best plan was get a girlfriend, get a job, get a car. You'll be all right. You know what I mean? And good thing for H&I, man. Good thing for H&I. Because they came in there. There's this one dude, man. He would come in every Monday. He had the biggest grin on his face when he walked in that door and he'd come in. It's Monday Night Fire. And I was like, this dude is getting loaded for real. And he's still coming in here. And it was just amazing to me that this guy would come in. He told us he had a job, or he has his own business. He has a family. But he always made time. He always made time to come and speak with us for an hour. And it was the coolest thing, man. It was just, why is he taking his time to come talk to a bum like me? Anyways, let me hurry this up. So, remember, I don't have any family or friends to talk to. I don't have any of that. We get one phone call, or we get one day to make phone calls. And I'd always see these people lining up. I need this time, And I never needed a time. I had nobody that cared. I shouldn't say that. I had nobody to talk to. But that dude gave me his number. And the first time I called him just so I can say, he didn't answer the phone. AA sucks. You people are lying to us. And wouldn't you know it, this dude answered. This dude answered every Wednesday. This dude stayed on the phone every time. Every time. And he introduced us to a meeting. We were allowed to go to meetings at the end of this thing. And man, this is where things get really good. You know what I'm saying? I get introduced to this group called Fourth Dimension. And it was pretty intimidating the first time I got there. There was a bunch of circles of people, and they were laughing and they were joking. And man, they just looked genuinely happy. And I guess it was a celebration. They were all done up in their suit and tie. And no, I didn't take it like that. I was like, these dudes think they're better than me because they got a suit and tie on. Look at these clowns. Look at these clowns. And man, God. Anyways, I always tell the handshake thing. There's a doorway that you come into 4D. The first time I come there, there's like 12 people, 6 on each side, and they're just welcoming everybody. Welcome, welcome. And I didn't know how to interact with people, so I put my hands in my pocket and I put my hat down, and I walked through. And I didn't say anything to those people. And anyways, let's fast forward a little bit more. I need to find a sponsor. This recovery house that I managed to make it to is Real Recovery. I had to find a sponsor, man. And the director at the time did not like my choice of sponsor. He did not. He told me I had to find another one. Well, wouldn't you have it, this same guy that was bringing me to this meeting told me to call this other guy. Said, call him, ask him for a ride. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to call anybody. I hate the phone. I hate talking to other people, especially guys. What's the point of talking to another guy? And I'm like, hey, my name's Chris. Can you come pick me up from Real Recovery? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to pick up another guy anyways. I'll be there. And my thought process is, this dude's going to pull up. He's going to have a Bible in one hand. He's going to have an AA book in the other. He's going to be blasting some Christian music. And what a great day to be sober. And the great part about it is I'm wrong about all of this stuff. And he pulls up, and the other guy that's riding with us is not in the car yet. Where's this idiot at? I don't think that's very AA, dude. Are you working a spiritual program? And it was just the whole ride there. He's just digging at this dude, and I am dying laughing in the back. And I realized, man, I was comfortable enough to laugh. I don't know why. I'm with this guy and I'm comfortable. And on the ride back, I was like, dude, I'm kind of in need of a sponsor. Do you think you can do that? And he gives me the dumbest answer I've ever heard in my life. And he goes, it'd be an honor and a privilege to work with you. I'm like, dude, can't you just say yes? Just say yes. I don't need all that. We're not going to prom. We're not going to a dance, dude. And that starts this whole journey, man. And he tells me I got to call him. This kind of pissed me off. He was like, you got to call me for the next 3 days. I'm kind of busy. So let's see if this thing will work. I was like, dude, I'm busy too. I don't even have a job. I don't have anything going on. I'm busy. Maybe I'm too busy to call you. And it was great, man. And the funny part about it is I thought every time I would call this guy, it would be AA related. It would be, hey, let's talk about, the traditions and the spiritual program side. And that's not what it was at all. He just talked to me about, how's your day going, dude? How's things going? And I didn't really know how to receive that from him at that moment. And I remember he was like, dude, are you ready to get into this work? I'm like, I'm supposed to say yes, right? I really don't want to. I don't want to do any of this stuff. This stuff has no room in my life. You know what I'm saying? I got this. And I told him I would. And what he did from there is we started a program of, he would come over every week for an hour and he would read to me. He would read this book to me. And a lot of this stuff I didn't understand. A lot of stuff I didn't get at first. You know what I mean? Really, one big thing that I really took from because let me just tell you, I did do work before step 3. He told me I was screwed, man. He told me I am screwed. I have no defense against this thing. And I will get loaded again at some point. I will. Unless you have a spiritual program. And we did step 1, and then step 2, we kind of went through this thing. And then we got to this step, dude. We got to this step. And let me be completely honest. He probably spit some fire, man. He probably spit some fire through this whole step thing. I'm sure he did. But the one thing I take the most from him, or from my sponsor, was this 3rd step prayer, man. I remember being in this truck. He's like, hey, we're going to recite the 3rd step prayer. I'm like, cool, whatever. We'll do it in the truck. I was wrong. I was really wrong about that. So I still have a problem with what people think of me, when people's opinions of me. And I'm at this place where there's 3 apartment buildings and there's guys outside that are probably staring at us. You know what I'm saying? And he comes around the truck and he's like, take my hands. I'm like, whoa, dude, what are we doing? And the best part was he said, get on your knees. I was like, dude, what are we doing here? And we recited the 3rd step prayer. And what's funny is at this point, we've only done the bro handshakes and the stuff like that. We never really... I don't know what I felt, man. I just felt this relief. And I didn't know what to do. And I go in and I hug this man. And I don't know why. I have no idea. I thought we were having a movie moment. He was going to pick me up, twirl me around, my little leg would be up. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And then what he said, man, you might not get it now, but once you start reading with other people, you'll get it. You'll see it. You'll remember what I told you. And I have to say, God, it's true. We were talking about it yesterday, man. When I start reading with these guys, I get choked up all the time. I get choked up on my words, and I just want to cry because there were so many times that Chris was like, hey, this is going to happen. Your life is going to change this way. And it did. I didn't believe it in the beginning. I didn't believe this book was going to help me. I didn't believe the 12 steps. The only reason why I kept working with him is because he was so excited to do it, dude. He would come over every day. He'd be like, dude, Bill and Bob, they're like, there was a quarter that started this. And he just gets so excited. And you could feel that. You could feel it. You know what I'm saying? No matter what, you could feel that. But he said, once you start taking guys through this work, you'll see what I'm saying. And then, sorry, how long did I go? It says 7:04. We're good. Anyways. So being convinced, we were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and our life over to God as we understood him. Just what do we mean by that? And just what do we do? And I didn't understand that in the beginning. And over this whole process of doing the steps, all this came and it started making sense. The first requirement, it's not if you feel like doing it, it's a requirement, is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. And he put it to me pretty forward. He was like, dude, you're at real recovery. You don't have any money. You don't have a job. Your life kind of sucks right now, doesn't it? It sucks. And it sucked at that point, man. And on the basis, we are almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. And I find when I first started this thing, I was on a collision course with everybody. Everybody had it out for me. Nobody would give me a job. Why won't they just give me a job? But why can't, people in AA just give me money? I can't really afford stuff. I always had a problem. I always had an issue with everything, Then it goes into this whole actor thing where I want to run the show. And if people just do what I want, life would be so much better. Life would be grand. And I always messed up in that area where I just wanted to be in control of everything else, everybody else. And if I wasn't in control, I could blame everybody else for my problems at that time. This usually happens. The show doesn't come off very well. My life didn't come off very well. And I needed this book and a sponsor to go through this thing to point out the things that weren't going well. And our actor is self-centered. And that was one of the biggest things, is that I was so self-centered when I got here. And then he is like a retired businessman who lolls in Florida's sunshine in the winter, complaining of the sad state of the nation. This will remind me of being where I'm at. Like, for instance, I went to WikiWatchy 2 weeks ago. I loved it. It was an amazing time. But before, I would have ruined that. I would have been like, this sucks. I have to paddle. I'm pretty tired. Why can't somebody paddle for me? And that's what I can identify with this so much. And then it's the politicians and reformers who are sure all would be utopia, which is a good name for a landscaping company. If the rest of the world would only behave. And that's so true. That was my outlook. If you just behaved how I wanted you to behave, all would be well. Just do it. And this is where, selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of my trouble. That's the root of my trouble, man. I have to get out of myself. I have to go and just focus on a new guy that's coming in that felt just like me when I was sitting in the chair for the very first time. Just ran through with fear and just self-pity. Because I know when I was first sitting there, man, I was so scared to go up and tell somebody my name because I thought they'd judge me. I thought they'd be like, look at this loser, dude. We need to get him out of here. There's no AA for you. And so our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves, and the alcoholic is an extreme example of self-will run riot. Though he usually doesn't think so, above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of selfishness. We must. So he likes to point out these little things. We must. We might not. We might. Maybe I'll do it. No, it says we must, or it kills us. It will kill me if I'm stuck in my selfishness. It will kill me. That's it. And see, this is where he's starting to bring home for me. It's not about you anymore, Chris. It's not about you, dude. It's not about you, what you need. It's about helping the new guy get out of this. It's about helping the hopeless alcoholic that was just like you when you first got here. And dude, it's so true, man. It's so true. This is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. At least it didn't work for me. Next, we decided there hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal. We are his agents. He is the father, and we are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and the concept was the keystone, great name for a cleaning company, of the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom. And you know what? That freedom actually means something to me now. You know what I'm saying? When he read this, I probably just, yeah, whatever, dude. But the freedom, I have peace of mind every day. I have peace of mind. My mind is not going 100 miles an hour, you know? And I know I give a lot of credit to this guy, but it's really not. It's to the higher power, my higher power, you know? If I ever sound like I'm doing something, I'm really not. It's just my higher power. And he's helped me tremendously. My sponsor has helped me tremendously, but it wasn't of his doing. It wasn't. It was God that did this. It was God that made a way for me. It was God that hooked us up together because he knew that was the only person that would be able to get this message through to me to make me understand. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it really boiled down to. I had a new employer. Being all-powerful, he provided what I needed. If we kept close to him and performed his work well, and, you know, I think about that all the time. Somebody in this room calls me, he's like, how are you always doing okay? I was like, I don't know, dude. Life is just great, you know? And that's really simple. I don't really worry about anything. I don't. Because if God has brought me this far, he's not going to let me down now. And I just have to trust the process. Sometimes I don't understand what is happening, why it's happening, and I don't have to, man. I don't have to. But I know when I look back on this thing, I can see where God had his hands all over my life, all over this journey. And, what's the last thing? As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. We were reborn. There's nowhere right now that I'd rather be than here right now. And that, I can't say that lightly because, man, my whole life I wanted to be somewhere else. This is where I want to be. I want to be with you guys. A lot of guys in here have helped me tremendously and don't even know it. You know what I mean? And Chris is laughing at me, so I'm going to go ahead and stop there. So I appreciate you guys.